Hey. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're tuning in from. Oh, my voice is a little bit raspy, and I should have gotten a drink before I started this stream. Just bear with me a second. But yeah, let me not mess up the introduction. So yeah, my name is Clayton. I'm an IT operations manager. I'm also an avid system developer, system builder, app developer, long-term web app developer, and overall a serial tinkerer and problem solver. So yeah, without further ado, we're just gonna jump straight into this build this evening. Just picking up where we left off yesterday with several work streams still open. Yesterday's stream was a little bit lackluster, simply because we ended up hitting a roadblock with Cursor crashing on us. So one of the local databases had gotten stuck. It's a problem that I've not seen before, and I ended up having to kind of cut the stream short. I'll say short, but I was streaming for a couple of hours, interrupted halfway with this Cursor crash, and ended up killing a lot of time. I was quite tired yesterday. So today, kind of not to make up for it, but today, I'm hoping to stream probably around the 3 to 4 hour mark. I'm feeling adventurous. It might be 1 hour. We never know. But I just want to try and make as much progress as we can. Do a lot. Try and do slightly less waffling and more kind of just getting straight into the nitty gritty of this system. So I'll just quickly introduce it for some of you guys that might be watching for the first time or tuning in for the first time. I don't really share. It's not best practice. I don't really share this stream. I just kind of ad hoc as soon as I'm kind of feeling to open up Cursor and kind of work on this and just hit record and just see where the evening takes us. So let's just do that. So just to kind of give you an overview, a bit of a whistle stop tour in terms of what it is we're actually building. I am building like a 3-layer system or application, which is going to start with rather lovely neural network that we're building. We're not obviously not here to kind of sugarcoat anything. I am currently building this within, or this particular element of what we're doing inside of Obsidian. But it's quite custom. There's a lot of JSON files and things like that have gone into this, and this is essentially going to act as a neural network for every single conversation that I've had with AI, and we're then gonna kind of convert this or have this as a central hub for a mentor or mentorship application that we're building, that will help me kind of with my ADHD to kind of prioritize work better, to organize my thoughts a bit better, to kind of spring ideas that I haven't kind of followed through on, or kind of left hanging, that are quite high priority, and just help me sort my life out. It's going to be kind of like a cockpit for myself, but we're building it from the ground up. So this is just a snapshot of 30 or so conversations that I had in 2024 with AI, and why we kind of condensed it down to 30 is just so that we can build all of the logic around the connections, how we actually want the nodes to emit, the naming conventions that we want to use, the recency logic that we want to use, the similarity logic, the ingest logic, just simply because I've imported this as a flat file direct from an LLM that I've been using, but then also want to be able to channel in any of the local conversations that I'm having with any AI or note platform, and I want all of that to feed into. So rather than trying to do that with the whole code base, I whittled it down to sample size just so that we can iterate and create and fix logic. So the first iteration of this, we had to change some of the connectors around, some of the connecting logic around. I then looked into how I then wanted to deduce recency and represent recency, which is something that I've been able to do with again, just like quite visually with I'm just trying to organize the screen slightly better, so do bear with me because I've got so many things popping up and pinging up in front of me. So I just wanted to make sure that I'm actually overlaying this correctly and you guys can actually see what it is that I am doing and what it is that I'm actually talking about. So I wanted to be able to, so you can see that I can now switch on certain things here, and this will show me the recency. There is logic that defines how items are grouped, and then how they're weighted as well. So these are all things that we've worked on over the last couple of days while we've been iterating and building this system out. Today's focus, and kind of like prior to going live as well, I have been working on a couple of work streams and workflows for the agents themselves that I am using. And again, I will show that, and the whole purpose of this is to show you my workflow. You know, I don't swear by it. I'm not here trying to convert you. If you want to vibe code, do your thing. It's not really my approach, and it's not to say that I'm sitting there getting into the nitty-gritty of the code. It's not what I'm doing. Do you know what I mean? We have to work harder, so we have to work smarter, not harder. So yeah, without further ado, this is kind of where we're at with things, and I'll be able to go with you. So yesterday I was really just focused on fine-tuning and tweaking a couple of the things that I was seeing that were going wrong. So the branches within the Git repositories were not going to the correct subslices, so things were just being left in the Git tree by the agent, sorry, within the repo by the agent, and it was creating a bit of a messy tree. So I've then enforced a new rule to get everything within a subslice that's named after the actual slice that we're in. So again, slices, what are they? The vertical slices, and we're splitting this work package up with everything that we're doing by slice, just to condense the context window that we're working from, to condense and kind of minimize the I guess the size of the work package or the spec that we're giving to our agent, just so that they're not having to do too much, and they're not having to try and do too much where we're kind of increasing the room for things to go wrong. We want to be in full control of exactly what we're building, just so that it's repeatable, it's repairable, it's scalable, and actually functional at the end of all of this, because that's kind of one of the biggest stumbling blocks and one of the biggest roadblocks that I was facing whenever I was building anything in the past, and just trying to kind of go for the perfect prompt or as few prompts as possible, and essentially vibe coding or vibe building, whatever you want to call it these days. It was a stumbling block that I was hitting quite frequently, where the agent was going off and doing its own thing, and before you know, we'd hit a roadblock, and then you'd see the mistakes in the actual output that you were getting, where you know, just to give you a bit of background about myself, I I'm a computer science graduate. I've built a ton of web applications. With regards to this automation space, I've been doing this since the early growth hacking days back in, the late 2012 and onward and onwards. I was in quite a lot of those early communities in Facebook, where we were trying to growth hack Instagram, where we were trying to growth hack Facebook, Twitter back in the day. With the things that ManyChat is doing now, we used to do that in Python back in the day, with people like Vin Clancy, people like Brad, I've forgotten his name, I've forgotten his surname, but a lot of these marketing guys that were around back then in the growth hacking community. These are all tools that we were using before AI came out, and now just applying some of those principles in terms of being able to actually modularize things in Python, being able to build workarounds and build tools to do certain things for you within Python. It's something that I do love. It's something that I do like being involved in the code and in the nitty gritty of what I'm doing. So so without further ado, without kind of like waffling on for too long, I want to just get stuck straight in. So in terms of this session, in terms of what you're jumping into, I've been refining concurrent working, just because I wanted to add a few more layers, just to again remove me as the orchestration layer, remove me as being such a dependency of the LLM tool, and actually being more of not an orchestrator, but being more of just like a manager or a lead, and then having the orchestration layer built in. So as I'm going along, I'm seeing things that are kind of not taking me longer, but things where I can now safely hand off because there is enough context. I can safely hand these things off to the LLM. And that's kind of what I'm doing now. I'm building for that. I'm building for the handoff. I'm building for being able to offload a lot of these things that are repeatable, and I'm building skills around it so that I can hand it off and have this as a kind of sweep agent, so that every single time I launch a new session, I've got my sweep agent taking over from that orchestration layer. And again, I can then take a further step back and be more on top of what I'm doing and just directing the slices, still having quite a lot of involvement in terms of the modules and the building blocks, but not being as involved in the nitty gritty of the code and decisions and things like that. So that's kind of where we're at the moment. Those are the skills that I've built over the last few hours before starting this stream, and that's kind of what I want to kind of go through. And then you're going to see a lot more of that as I'm plowing away over the next 3 to 4 hours, and then hopefully by the end of this, we should be finished with this modular approach, and then we can hand over and start actually building the mentor aspect of this system, and then that's kind of like where the magic's going to happen. So yeah, cool. So let's just dive straight into it, and the first thing I actually want to do here today is approve this peer review, and then we can go from there. Just give me a second. Actually, I'm gonna get a drink. My voice is crackling. Cool. So where was I? So yeah, so I'm currently going through a process of peer reviewing. Oh gosh, what am I doing? Not what I wanted. Oh, so I'm just swapping these screens. Just because I don't need OBS on this screen. I want the Claude Code actually in front of me. Right. So the first thing that I want to do is actually approve this gap analysis, and this gap analysis is on the concurrent plan in terms of what I'm building. So just gonna kind of just pasting that in so that we can do this peer review quickly, get it approved. It's just a once over for a tool that I actually want to kind of just be sweeping as I'm working away, as I'm committing things to the master repo. I don't want to be as involved with checking. I can kind of now, because I'm doing a manual check, and obviously with me streaming what I'm doing at the moment, I wanted to build another, I guess, directive, another skill that's auto triggered. So this will have its own handoff logic, its own handoff logic. Let me just not go ahead of myself. So it will have its own context cleanup, so that it's dumping off context to a temporary folder. So again, away from the main project context. So it's not what's the word I'm looking for? So it's not, yeah. The thing is, I want to say contaminating, but contaminating isn't the word that I'm looking for. Congesting. So it's not congesting the repository that we're working within. So everything, as per most of the skills that you've seen me build, where it's heavy handoff or any kind of like large files are being built that we only need in terms of the short term. I actually dump them within a subfolder within my temporary drive on my C drive. So again, this will be going into that temporary folder, and then I want it to be able to spin up sub agents, and this is kind of what you're seeing here with regards to this is what we've defined. I want it to be spinning up low cost agents, so Claude Haiku, that's a few models down. It's very cheap, low token utilization, just to go away and look through those folders, just a quick search. We're not asking it to do a grand deal, we're not asking it to build anything crazy. So these lower end models are perfect for these. They're perfect workhorses for being able to go away, look at a file and tell me what that file means. You know what I mean? So in the last few years, a couple of years ago, a couple of months ago, even this time last year, whenever it was, probably what, 2 years ago, a task like that wasn't overcomplicated. We wouldn't, you know what I mean? So we can't, just because we're so, I guess, accustomed now to the opuses, the sonnets of the world, GPT 5.3, 5.4, 5.5. We can't look down on these models that came before because they're still quite capable. So a task like going away and looking into a folder and reading a file, let's not trivialize it. This is quite a simple task for something like Haiku to do. So again, that's kind of what this agent will be doing. So it'll be spinning up tools, the lower end models, to go away and find particular context from the temporary folder once I've committed something. And what does committing mean? Just committing a file, save, let's call it saving, right? I've committed a file to the repository. That means that it's a live actionable file that's working within our project. So once I've done that action, what I want is for me not to be the only person that's reviewing and keeping, again, the context in my head, which is one of my biggest problems as someone that's got ADHD. I don't want to store all the context up here. I do it well, but let's say, for example, I work on 3 projects tonight. In the daytime, I work on over 15 concurrent projects. That's a lot of context and things that I need to remember away from being a family man and being present and all of these things. I don't want to have all of that stored up here, and there's going to be, as much as I try to and as much as I like to, there's going to be elements that I miss. So this is what I'm building robustness for and around, so that I can offload to this agent that's running on the highest tier Claude 4.8, sorry, not Claude 4.8, Opus 4.8, but the highest model and the highest effort, so that's then going around and looking through the context within the repository and then referencing all of these subfolders outside of the repo that are just context based, and then kind of steering and guiding and looking at anywhere where we've done something that doesn't make too much sense, or we're going down a path that is causing clashes. So it's kind of just sweeping up after me, and kind of just being a safety net for me. That's what we're building here, so that it will prompt and highlight things that we're doing wrong. The cost of it will be quite high because we want it session based, but again, we're still controlling as much as possible, and we're controlling where possible the amount of context it's using, how exposed it is, and then we're building all of these other layers that I am building into each session with regards to handoff, but it's just going to help me kind of better orient my, okay, that word's gone now because I've said it weirdly that many times. Better direct, we'll use that instead. All right, so to better direct the direction that my project is going in, and help me just make sure that I'm not leaving anything behind as we're going along, and it's got all of the skills in terms of web research and things like that. It's got access to Perplexity, it can problem solve, it can double check and sense check things as we're going along, just to make sure that the project is remaining tidy at all times, it's always veering in the right direction, and yeah, just patching up as I go along. But again, it's just adding that safety layer so that I don't have to worry about it. I can build and plan ahead confidently, knowing that something that's kind of got my thinking wired into it is doing the sweep up operation behind me as well. And I'm doing that, but you've obviously, for those of you who have tuned in, and if you watch this after the fact and you've gone through the lives in some sort of chronological order, you will have seen the philosophy by now. This is a slow burner. I'm not really in a rush to build Rome tomorrow. So yeah, so cool. So I'm just going through the peer review at the moment. And I just I don't really need like a crazy number of passes on this. I just wanted to give the peer review, look at the gap analysis, let's feed that straight back in, because the plan, or the plan that I fed into this was quite a heavy one. So there shouldn't really be too much that needs to be changed or corrected, and if there is, or if there are gaps, we can trust this quite easily. Do you want me to read? And yeah, so I just want to not auto approve, but I don't want to spend too much time on this particular element. What else have I boosted up? Because there are other things. Yeah, so just prior to this stream starting and through the day, I did spend quite a lot of time just cleaning up and tidying up tools. Yeah, so cool. So the gap analysis is coming back here. So just to share that with you, so that you can see it. So there is a high risk job or high priority analysis. So the experiment or subslice branch is currently bypassed the active shipped governance in slice bunch that slice branch script implement returns true at any experiment branch before checking active shipped. Round 2 says slice work blocked on trunk, shipped non-active, but the plan does not include fixing this. If a subslice becomes first class, experiment subslice branches should be allowed only when their pass slice ID is active on shipped slice. Hi, number 3. Round 3 assumes that the headless Claude can do tiered sub-agent fan out, but the contract is not pinned. Claude help confirms the agent model effort and adjacent output and tool allow lists exist, but the plan does not specify the agent permission mode. So without that, Haiku agents fan out opus synthesizers is aspirational and made the grade in one opus plus high. Asynchronous post commit must be designed for exiting post 6. Okay, cool. So there's a few here. And what's the low audit? Okay, cool. So round 2 is implementable after tightening the governance for subslices. Round 3 is feasible, but the biggest missing piece is turning a headless opus with Haiku fan out into an exact CLI contract agent schema, timeout and budget overlap behavior. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is pass this back to and you're going to see the beauty of this because we built this into it yesterday. So some of these problems that is presented are, I guess, they're knowledge based items. Some of them are like, you know, require technical workarounds, and this is something that I picked up on yesterday when I was doing my peer review sessions, and I've said it on a previous video that I've actually recorded and will be putting out soon. There's more of a, you know, quite fast paced lesson and philosophy, but if I've got to do something a couple of times, if I see myself repeating something, it means that I need a tool for that item. And I found myself yesterday reading through quite a lot of peer reviews where I'm like, okay, well, this needs further research, but why don't I actually just give the peer review agent Perplexity access, not the inherent tool deep research, and putting it into deep research mode because it asks me too many follow-up questions. But I want it to just actually be able to trigger Perplexity and let that do the deep research. I've got a pro account, so why not? So we ended up building that tool because of that. So what I'm going to do here is throw this peer review back in here. Here's the feedback, so I'll tell it. So here is some feedback and gap analysis, and then I'm actually going to tell it to trigger grill me, so grill me with the perplexity enabled, right? To research some of these views to see best approach. Close. Okay, so that's going to trigger that. And while this is doing that, because at the moment all we're doing is tool building for this. I'm going to trigger the look ahead for slice 6 because slice 5 is essentially closed. First thing I actually want to do is check that all slice 5 actions are committed to the main branch. And then let's start a look ahead for slice 6. Yeah, that's the next up. And then we can obviously, and one thing that again I noticed yesterday with my look ahead tool that we created, or the look ahead skill that we created, it wasn't for planning things before, you know, like ahead of us. We were having to do a lot of the reminders and things of that nature, which is not how we designed this tool to work. And as you can see here as well, this is now a bit more prominent. It's a lot more prominent here with regards to the context switching. So you can see here, before grilling 2 nodes, the context is at 137k out of 140, which is my cap that I've set. A full eight gap, one at a time grill me research will tip the auto compaction midstream. So I'll drive this tight, verify the asserted code, and research only gaps. So we can actually just stop here. We'll stop this here, and trigger a handoff, so we can grow me in a new session. Cool, so that's that. So then now I want it to actually check, so giving it access to the cockpit directory. I'm gonna need another drink in a second because my throat is killing me. My throat is killing me. Okay, so take that as yes as well. Cool, so that's verified. No uncommitted changes, which is great. So now we're triggering the look ahead skill on here. Cool. So now I have full grounding. Do you want me to proceed with the MCP? Perplexity doctor. Yeah. Cool. So that's fine. So that's going to trigger perplexity. So then durable to assume plan state handoff. Cool. So what I'm doing here is just waiting for this to finish doing the handoff so that I can continue the research next into the next window. Perplexity has failed. Which is annoying. Do you want me to proceed with MPC? Perplexity search. Yes. Don't know why it's doing that. So just waiting for this. Effectively dies on launch repeatedly with the exit code 21. Full close session JSON script. No, I want this to actually fix. I don't like. I think it's the way that the cookies are actually stored on here. So I actually want to enforce the to Kate. Cool. So I'm just waiting for that to trigger and then launch, and then hopefully once it loads up, yes, run it in shell. And then hopefully that will trigger the browser to actually open, and then from there I'll log in, and then yep, so that's triggered. It's gone straight to my account. That's verified. So now we should see a positive authentication, and then Perplexity should be working. So yeah, so re-authenticated to Pro, which is good. Now retrying the tiers. So just wait for that to do its thing, because then if there's a problem there with Perplexity, we can at least sort that out there, rather than trying to use workarounds instead of actually fixing the issue. So yeah, that's fixed. So all three tiers returned with citations via Pro. Tier C succeeded, so I'll pass the refresh search. I'll now offer the two intermediate bodies into the steering dock. Cool, that's perfect. Right, so while that's doing that, do I want to write the handoff? Yes, I do want to write the handoff. So this will now just trigger our handoff operation, which we're waiting for. I'm really hoping to get this this nodular aspect of this done and out of the way, just because I think we're not really reinventing the wheel all that much. Obviously we're repurposing it, and we're showing you I am showing you a different way to use a tool that's already out there in Obsidian, and just kind of use Python to hack away and kind of repurpose and get all of your thoughts and build this neural network. I think it's actually going to be really interesting when we're able to add the mentor layer, because I think there's so many different things that we can do with that. You know, in my first instance, I'm going to have it working as an executive assistant for me, working as a business coach and a mentor in terms of navigating this AI space, a career coach if I wanted to do that, and then build all of this logic into it. And that's kind of where I'm hoping to do with it. And then, you know, eventually down the line, and I've seen different people building what look like reinvented ways of using graph nodes and kind of building it as business intelligence platforms. But with this, at least we can there's so many different ways that I'm thinking that once this is finished, I can kind of like repurpose it in areas within corporate world, areas within the health space and the health sector, as well as just, again, just using it for self and self-improvement. When I was trying to kind of like make my way as a web developer or an app developer, and build a web agency, and different things that I was kind of doing within this tech space, from an entrepreneurial perspective. I really sought after mentorship, and if it's something where your network, so it's the cliche thing, your network is your net worth, but being able to custom build things for me in the way that I approach it is just trying to remove anything that was a barrier for me before, barrier to entry. So whether it's a financial barrier, so things that were too expensive for me to buy, tools that are currently too highly priced, or something that I can't justify paying the price tag on it just to use, I guess, 20% of the features within a particular software package. That's not worth it for me. And that's kind of like how I end up looking at systems that I build. A lot of the time I'm building functionality that I can kind of, I guess, stack for my own personal use case, as opposed to relying on these software companies, or the software and the tools that I'm using to actually build out software that's got that I'm actually able to use most of the tools and features that it comes with. And I've not found that software yet, and until then I'll always be obviously building and trying to hack away and merge things the way that I want. And that's kind of like the thing that excites me most about this space and AI, and what it's able to do for me in terms of accelerating my development, accelerating what I can do, and removing a lot of those barriers, a lot of those limits in terms of access to development's house, or access to a team of developers for a project that I wanted to do, because the biggest blocker was always having the budget to actually do it, rather than being bold enough and brave enough and ambitious enough to actually think of something and want to achieve it. And then the only barrier to entry being finances. And I think that's gone away now. But yeah, so watch this space. Let's see where we can go. So cool. So this has finished doing its sanity check on slice 5. So now we can actually do the look ahead for slice 6 in the steering document. So what has it suggested? So a tier spec driven Claude JSON, a pre-designed research and perplexity had drifted anonymously, a dead browser probe per instruction installed, blah blah blah. Cool. Was touched the repo, status was clean, and parking lot progress read only mirror 5/shipped active, blah blah blah. Look ahead, tempo only outside of the repo. So is the feedback from look. Okay, cool. I want to just see what it's suggesting for slice 6 while I'm going back and checking on the feedback that we got from our feedback on slice 2. So okay, cool. So the handoff is done. So now we can actually, sorry, I'd missed this. So we actually want to now continue from handover. So I'm going to slap it into plan mode and start complexity. Cool. So I'm triggering that. Slice 6, what does actually look like? So A1 is smaller than it sounds, and it seems already built. It seems is already built for it. Slices 3A deliberately left out the source adapter, the protocol 2 for registry and ingestion, no schema migration. The project column was reversed for 3A. So research confirmed the spec. So the caution, the spec didn't know integration. Scope 6 guardrails, a folder watch. Damien is Claude. This isn't really. Gosh, so we're gonna have to we're probably gonna end up having to clean this a little as well, because the genuine grill bait, what's unresolved and must be decided before spec freeze, caution, so source, cross source dedup strategy, spec names, the problem. So the same idea in Claude, and CC must, so Claude Code must not double count, but not the answer. The research says normalized hash first, so standard lib pure determinism is safe, and then the minimum hash only or borderline. But who wins a dedup on whether the edges merge or unspect, the incremental versus a full re-ingest, the freshness feeder. Yeah, of course I remember speaking about this, but I ended up calling it newness. Implies repeated runs, but the tail reading needs persistent state. This isn't really clear. This isn't what I personally envisioned when I wanted to build the look ahead tool. I wanted it to ping ideas at me, not ping potential problems. So this is now actually going to turn into a revision of the look ahead tool, in terms of just in this particular session, or this particular, as in like the session of Claude that I've got open, not this live stream. But I want to actually tweak this, because when I built the skill, the output wasn't supposed to be tuned this way, to where it's presenting me with problems. I want you to present plans to me. I want you to give me possible avenues that I could be going down. But here it sounds more like it's flagging things that I've either not done, but some of these things are not decided on purpose. Some of these things that we need to actually consider later down the track, and some of these things we've built that in, and those hard boundaries into when they actually become spec'd, or at what point do we start going down that line. Like, for example, in terms of the design of all the cockpit and things like that, we've not touched anything to do with Mentor or looking at how it's consuming and digesting that information and reading it, because we need to have all of this logic in terms of the nodes and the actual chat messages and things like that completely wrapped up. And I feel like this is sometimes somehow getting away from itself. So I've just flicked this into plan mode by obviously pressing shift and tab. I've changed it to plaid mode, and what I want to do now is actually review. So I want to review the look ahead skill. This was supposed to act as a steering however it's doing more fault finding. We already have an agent for that, a skill and agent for purpose. There are no solid ideas coming out of this. So there are no real solid ideas coming out of this skill or problems. Some of the problems being flagged are captured elsewhere or by design, as they are not spec'd, locked down. Clicking. Flagging, and the thing is, I don't want it to suppress findings or have a positive bias. Just want it to do what I built it to do, which is present options, the directions, and the coming slices. Feels like a long message, but that'll be worth it because this will ingest it, it will have a think, and then we can obviously then peer review and just tighten up that gap, because I just want to get to building as soon as possible, to be fair. Okay, cool. So found a culprit, 10 stale Chrome processes, all spawned from what, 941 from Perplexity MVC, are holding a profile's user data directory. So every launch persistent context dies instantly. That's the wedge, not a transient race. An impin is installed. Okay, cool. So Perplexity is wedged by 10 Chrome processes holding the profile lock, clearing, clear the zombies and use pro. Cool. Grow from priors, degraded leave. Yeah. But then again, I don't want to close. Just want to close that and certain things myself. Don't need to be. So I've just got the music running there. I can close RDS here. All right. Cool. So found a cool. Okay, cool. So the pro passes, live search returned for 15 sources. Pro is back, and I mean, okay, cool. So that's perfect. That's doing what it's doing. So we're now starting the deep dive, or we're about to start the deep dive with Perplexity working as it should be. So that is good. I'll close that session down. How far should the redesign go in shifting the look ahead from flagging to generating direction. Full restructure. Do we want a full restructure? Replace the ABC approval tiers with 2 to 4 concrete named candidates. Reweight the existing. Yeah, no, let's do a full sweep. What should happen to the scope guardrails? The read-only iron rule, and not the approved scope banner. The engine stamps on every dock. Keep read-only. Soften the banner. So keep the hard read-only rule. Never touch the spec. Testing, and preview no, but reword the top banner from parking lot, nothing counts, promote only via grilling, to candidate. Yeah, that's cool. I've now read both the skill pros and the engine in full. I can see exactly what's driving the behavior you're describing before proposing any changes. The root cause is it's by design in the current prompt, not just in my last run. Yeah, like this has been a concurrent thing that I've been seeing. The 3 tiers are organized by approval status, and 2 of them are caveat machines. Tier B is literally flagged exploratory, not in spec, needs grilling. It tells the model to flag problems and punt to grill me. And tier C is an external inspiration, not approved scope, with a hard rule: never turn a finding into an implementation task. And tier C research mandate explicitly asks for known bugs, pitfalls, a fault finding driver, and never a task rule forbids exactly the workaround finding out. A workaround finding you now want. So cool. So it's saying that this is by design, and I'm guessing it's because of the way that I worded it and the way that we then structured the logic to work and the order that we've structured that to work. So I want to actually peer review this again with everything. We peer review. We have to peer review it. Cool. So I'm just telling my peer reviewer to change directory to the Axle cockpit. And peer cd to the Axle cockpit. And let's get a peer review and gap analysis thorough. Gap analysis of this change to the look ahead. All right, so that's going away and it's doing its thing. So now we can just jump back into this grilling session on the what were we actually peer reviewing again? And let's go and go. Okay, cool. So let's peer review this. So hi, the post commit dispatch, confirm, harden, fire, and forget command, harden the redirect all 3, disarm, none ho up. So the no ho up hyphen submit, redirecting a standing 2, disown what actually frees git parent on the window, but keep the session shim matches exactly the session pre-commit, and the pre-merge build time. Verify the commit returns instantly on scrap. Yeah, cool. Let's do that. Just quickly given accepting the permissions on the peer review on the left. Cause a clean state is now clean. Web search surface the medium 4. Hire the auditor orchestration contract. How tightly do we want to pin down the worker and synthesize the JSON contract and the resource bounds before building? Full pin the schema plus budget plus bear. Freeze worker schema. Freeze worker freeze the worker schema, contract version, worker status, summary finding, change files and synthesize it. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so yeah, so this is just a grill of the concurrent orchestrator, or kind of like sweeper skill / agent that we're building. So the med 4 plan lock trigger. How do we detect a plan was approved given the post tool use on the exit plan is unverified and permission requests can't distinguish approved or rejected? Probe first, stop the hook fallback, keep the post tool use exit plan as primary, but make a build time log only probe required. Commit one build plan approval. Skip the plan lock trigger entirely before any commits exist. Can't watch Claude for approval marker. Ignore hawks. Have the auditor watch the plan file and trigger when an approval marker appears, but the plan files are written during planning before approval, so there may be no clean approval state signal needs verification for the exit marker. Well, the good thing is we're going to be able to peer review this anyway and kind of benchmark it against what's out there. This one was already perplexity grounded last session. Headless C, web search confirmed the trap exists, med 4, and then it's just grabbing this. Okay, cool. So should a sub slice inherit a parent slice governance? Inherit the parent slice, so implied no. Keep experiment away. Keep experiments always editable. Leave 115 and 116 as is. Simpler, but a subslice of a shipped slice bypasses the whole branch. A slice gate contradicts the governance of the entire engine is trying to enforce. Okay. we might end up needing to revisit that, because the subslice of a committed branch technically should be editable in case we need to go back to it. But I suppose I'll always have the final say on that, or the overarching say on that anyway. Cool. So medium, validate the experiment slug before it becomes a branch name. Frozen slot, yeah. Because then we're not doing random things then. Never know. Jahab. Hi, I guess. Hi, who's that? How do you label subslices? How do labeled subslice handoff streams interact with the mirror contracts of temp only, never mirrored? Cool. So we've just got 2 more gaps to fill, and then your questions have been answered. Got 2 more questions to answer, and then we can lock that in. 2 changes per decision. What's going on here? What this fixes, so the look ahead grow me. Cool. So I'm just waiting for the plan or the peer review to be completed, and then we can put that in for this look ahead change that we want to make. And then yeah, we can go from there. Cool. So the peer review is completed on this change that we want to make. So again, for the peer review, I'm using a completely different LLM for this, completely different agent with no context, with no rules, kind of guardrailing it, no bias or anything like that. And again, this is just good practice for me because it means that I'm not having to worry about that completion bias or the positive feedback bias that's been built into quite a lot of these agents when you set it to do a big task or some work and whatever. Also try and find the path of least resistance in terms of coming back to you and telling you that it's completed the work successfully. So that's the whole purpose. And no, I don't want I want to keep planning, so I want to peer review this handoff in a second and then we can lock that in. But I want to just quickly give this the feedback. So here is the peer review of this change. Let me know what you think. Cool. So I'm just giving it the feedback from the peer review, just so that it can benchmark it, give it a quick sense check, see if the gaps are actually valid. Because again, now this agent actually does have the project context. It does have all of the logic and access to the code base. So feeding the feedback back in, now it can actually verify it. Now it can actually benchmark it against the actual code base itself. So that's the good thing about that. So while that's doing that, I can now get the changes that we want to make to the other agent. So I'm just going to quickly go back, start a new session with my peer review tool. So just get it to change directory to my cockpit. So Axo cockpit, cd to Axo cockpit, and do a peer review of and gap analysis and gap of it. Perfect to get it to do that. Oh, so that's soon gonna give me I'm just gonna give it access to everything that it needs. How are we doing? Okay, cool. So now this is going through the peer review and benchmarking, making some changes to the plan according to some of the findings. Right, so let's have a look at what it's thinking. So it's telling us that the peer review is quite strong. Let's just give it a sec. So accept that as well. So the dedupe unenforceable is written, agreed. This is the most important feedback that it's got. The snapshot only exposes the spec status banner plus the constants and the heading vocabulary, not the full out of scope out of scope deferred pros, and we saw the banner lag. So again, that's in between sessions being locked down and things of that nature. So that's good that it's found that the default research agreed. I left the old skip. So yeah, so cool. So what's actually fixed, because we've already read out all of these gaps in the previous iteration. So it added an explicit known context read to step. So it reads and gets an idea of the context. It gets an idea of the last handoff MD, and then the slight state as well, which is all in within the project memory. Flip the research default to run by default on real tensions, new query standardizations and backups and diffs. Okay, cool. So what we're actually going to do is accept the plan. So then that's going to commit the plan. To freeze it, we can, depending on, let me just quickly check on the context utilization that we've actually got at the moment. Okay, we're at 148k. So after we accept this plan, really and truly, this should be triggering the handoff tool anyway, so that we can start a new session and make sure that we're saving context. So let's see. Okay, cool. So let's have a look. Before I start building, which plan should I accept to build? No, you need to trigger. So I'm going to actually tell it you don't need to build anything. So you need to trigger a handoff due to current context window. Don't want you to do anything. So it's going to say, yep, you were right. All right. So while it's waiting to tell me that I'm right, I'm going back to the previous window just to see how we're getting on with the gap analysis on my steering and sweeping skill that I want to create, so that we can feed that back in, because once that is in, and then now I can actually start slice 6 and all of the other bits and bobs that we've been waiting to actually do. Because mind you, I'm an hour and 15 minutes into the stream and I'm still doing housekeeping, but it's worth it, because you can either build correctly and build in a safe environment, build where your code base is structured well, or you can wing it, build fast, and then have something that you can't ship, have something that you can't really fine tune or tweak very easily, because of the fact that you don't understand your code base, or you've let the AI kind of just go crazy on building features and structuring your code base in a way that you don't even know your way around your code base. And I don't really want to be in that position. I want to have oversight of absolutely everything without having to get my hands dirty with the code. That's the best position to be in. So do you want Claude Code? Do you want Claude Code listens to memory in the directory with active memory? Yes. Cool. So the handoff is now done for the changes that we're making to the look ahead, and then the governments as well. So I'm going to start a new session and say pick up from previous handoff, and I'm actually going to put it back into, I want to put it, no, I accepted the plan, so it's safe to build that. So let's just wait, pick up and the recorded block is unsolved, which plan to build. because we haven't accepted this plan, so it should definitely not be this plan that you're trying to build. So let's have a look at what it's thinking. I want to review the mellows. I want to continue from handover and atomic. Okay, confirm. Neither target has been edited and is currently in the parking lot. So no, we are picking up from the look ahead refit, which is this. This is the one that we're picking up from, because the other is not in scope yet. We've not even frozen that yet. So it is what it is. Cool. So do you want to allow the read test only directory listing to identify the coverage gaps? Yes. Okay, cool. So now it's backing up the skill MD, and this is just for refit of our look ahead skill. Just to explain that again, it's a skill that I built to allow me to work concurrently. So as soon as I've started a particular slice, I want to be able to zoom out, look at exactly what I'm building in this particular kind of like condensed view, but then look at where all the connectors are, and then have the skill connect to Perplexity to do research in terms of what I can actually connect to the next slice of work that I'm working on. And then based off of, you know, the rules that I've set, the project spec, start to suggest ideas in terms of, okay, these are the things that you can potentially do with the next slice that have been researched, rather than just throwing random things at me. I may use them, I may use one of them, I may use none of them, but at least it gives me some sort of direction that's been researched. So I'm not having to kind of go around and think, oh, well, can I do this or can I do that? Because it's already kind of given me a starting point or direction. And that helps me in terms of the next feature set that I need to add, or the next part of the build that I need to add, knowing that the tool's actually gone ahead of me and started that research piece, in terms of feasibility, in terms of common problems, in terms of best practice, in terms of best fitment. But that's what we're building at the moment, or not building, but fixing at the moment. The look ahead skill that we built earlier, because it was pumping out gibberish, not gibberish, but it was presenting us with more problems than the actual solutions. I want solutions, not problems, because we've already got a ton of other skills that we've built to help us with in that area, in terms of auditing, in terms of bug finding, in terms of that sort of thing. So yeah, cool. So now what we're going to do is, now the engine targets 3 sections of the Claude look ahead signals line. Okay, cool. So yeah, go ahead, make those edits, that's fine. The handoff is done for this. I'll close you, I'll accept that. Right, where are we with this? Okay, cool. So the peer review is done on this. Now we can actually give it to it. So face it, findings high, the experimental branch buses over the branch, high 2 C's unbuilt, slice, an actual blocker, global handoff helper, slug, slice branch, okay, cool. This is fine. Yes to this, go back, give it the feedback. Here is some feedback from a peer review. That's still in plan mode, so it shouldn't trigger anything. Click yes on this, and we can accept it. Quite zoomed in. All right, yep, let's make the edit there. Yes. Okay, cool. So the peer review It's on that new governance script. Okay, so the peer review is reassuring, rather than contradicting. It confirms the current state, matches the plan's gap analysis exactly. Nothing in round 2 or round 3 is built yet. That's the expected pre-built state, which is good. The baseline is cleaner, the master no build passes the one genuinely net new signal is the low finding. No regression test for the governance script. My plan currently leans on a manual scratch repo smoke check, given your standing the TDD enforces not the document. That's a weak spot worth closing before I represent. Okay, cool. So when we review the TDD rollcaps, faster, slightly less rigorous. No, want this. It's not. It's rigorous. Cool. So let's see how many questions. I think it should just be a couple of questions because it's only really one sticking point. So cool. So once that's done, we'll be able to get this done and then make for slightly faster and able to run a few more processes more confidently at the same time. Cool. Yep. And it looks like I'm just blindly accepting things, by the way. I'm not. It's because of the type of things that I'm being asked. I'm kind of used to it. It's just asking to make edits to the skill. So just common patterns. I'm not just randomly accepting things without reading, I promise. Cool. So this, yes, make the edit. Let's make the edit again. Right, so what's this doing here? Cool. So that's doing its thing. That's now building that, updating that skill. So I want to just quickly check the context window, make sure that it's got enough headroom, which it should do. Not too worried about that. Where are we at on this one? Again, yeah, we're good. We've got plenty of headspace for it to do its thing. And yeah, like once this is done, we can kind of start planning the next slice of work. And yeah, start testing out this new hook. Let's have a look. Yep. Look ahead. Actually, I want to make sure I'm just seeing concurrency. Fan out. What are we actually calling this? I want to just see what we're actually calling it. All right. Let's just quickly accept that as well. Because yeah, the next few steps are just to kind of start ramping up what we've been doing with this neural network. So I want to be able to go in, have a look at the actual nodes in a bit more detail, to be able to see the connections in a lot better detail, see what everything doing, and then from there just making sure that I'm actually able to navigate around some of these nodes a lot easier, and then I'll throw every single note that I've made and whatever else. There's going to be thousands of them, but at least we'll have the confidence that everything is there. We can then click into a note. We'll have all of the context and the history in terms of, you know, what we were actually talking about at the time. And yeah, we'll have the full history and the full visual to kind of complement everything. I'll be able to see the things that I said, the things that the assistant said, and yeah, that is the intention. And then hopefully tomorrow, the weekend, etc., we'll be at the stage where we're actually building the mentor layer onto this, and being able to actually add the brains behind the operation, being able to prioritize the thoughts and be able to map out and do a lot more data modeling in terms of how my brain has been working, how my thoughts have been connected, the sort of things I actually talk about with AI, and the sort of ideas that I have. And then eventually I want to actually be able to do all of my journaling in that space, so then it can kind of give me an overview in terms of my thoughts, where I'm at, my happiness levels and things like that. Am I overworked? All of that good stuff. But these are all the building blocks, and we will eventually get there in terms of just building this robustly. But I'm just showing you that, you know, using AI to build systems is not just a matter of, oh, can you build me an application that will help me prioritize my work and manage my thoughts. If you understand systems, and if you understand the best practice in terms of how to actually layer these things, the best practice in terms of how to actually manage and budget your context and your tokens and things like that, you can really push this thing far. So yeah, that's essentially that's the anecdote of the moment. Let's push on. Right, yes, give you shout access. Have a look here. What's this thing doing? Still writing. No confessed. And then once this is done, it's still just plugging away and plugging away and plugging away and plugging away. They're both grafting hard, you know. And then we'll be able to test it, we'll be able to audit it, and then I want to see how it's actually performing on the next run. Hook, slice, branch, yes. Accept all of that. Yes, accept that as well. I'm surprised that this one's taken a lot longer to write than the others. Cool, so this one's done in terms of the look ahead. And I want to be able to actually just use this look ahead straight away in a second as well. So what have we changed about our look ahead skill that we built a couple of days ago? So 3 meaningful changes. So it's the 3 approval tiers, A, B, and C, are gone, and they're replaced with 2 to 4 named candidate direction, each with a move plus how it'd work, research workaround, folded in with a cited inline handoff. So again, we're quoting exactly where it would work, exactly where it would slide in. It's spec derived, so again, it's all in line with our spec directive that's locked. So it's not editing our spec, it's not changing our spec, it's not changing the direction. Exploratory or external pattern is now small per the direction tag. Bless me. Not the spine. We've got 3 governing rules that have been added. So dedupe, so deduplicate against known or do not grill me job. And then 1 fork worth grilling, pointer max, explicit, and no suppression or no positive bias rule. So again, I don't want it to just tell me what it thinks I want to hear. I want it to tell me what works and what will not work. but more so what will work without being biased. So step one, gains a known context read. So it reads through the spec to figure out what's actually in spec, what's out of spec, and then the handoff current state, and then the authoritative slice in terms of which slice are you actually in at the moment, which slice is locked, which slice is done, and then the memory, so making the duplicate rule enforceable against the landing snapshot banner, and then the research flip to run by default. So again, this is going to be using Perplexity. Using my pro account, it will do the research, and then query is the sanitized rule added by M4, blah blah blah, and then that's it. So it's done it, it's validated, it's come back apparently all green, and the backup has been kept there. So what I'm actually now going to do is, again, just a quick context check to see whether it's worth locking away. We're still good running 73k tokens. So what I'm going to do now is run a diagnose. Okay, so run the diagnose skill against this change for any. Yeah, so I'm just going to quickly check, make sure that it's all valid, make sure it's all working. Obviously it's got this built into it already. I just wanted to just quickly sense check it before I'd start test driving it in a new session. Just try and see if there's anything that's missed, anything that needs catching, whatever else, but I think it should already be done. Cool, so then just as that's doing that, we'll just quickly run 7 failed and 11 passed, but I spot a fixture bug masking real behavior. The test.ship aborted with working tree is dirty, which means which means start writes an untracked Claude slice state JSON that makes the status porcelain dirty. So experiment subslice such either experiment slash subslice slash ship all abort early, and the real repo must get ignore that. Let me check the real conversation and fix the fixture. Confirmed. So line 23 get ignore Claude. So my fixture must mirror that so that the 3 stay clean. Fixing the fixture, then rerunning. Okay, cool. Perfect. Self-fixing. Look how efficient that is. I've not had to tell it like, oh, there's a bug, can you fix? No, it's doing it all by itself. Cool. So then here where I'm running this, it's just a safety check. So the build doc fresh console, the only remaining approved scope here, survive, h4, I'm expecting this one to come back clean, so shouldn't be really any issues there, but we shall see in a second. H4 runs untouched. I ran 2 hypotheses and found the diagnose no bugs found, which is perfect. Can't really complain, you know? Cannot complain. That's exactly what we want to see. Beautifully clean code. Exactly what we want to see. Alright, so reviewed H1 diagnose found no bugs plus a static gate. So okay, cool. So phase 5 regression test, no bugs, nothing to lock down. Phase 6 all the feature regression change. Okay, cool. So So now let's commit these. This, if not already done. There's not really a need to hand off because it's just a hard stop. I want to just open a new session and then just trigger a plan ahead. Yeah. See where we're at. Now replace experiment. Cool. So this is still debugging this. Let's see. Cool. Nothing to commit. Everything that's not an oversight. Both files live under the Perfect. Music to my ears. Now what we're actually gonna do is close that session down. I'm gonna open a new session, so we're gonna see the new and improved look ahead skill in action. So look ahead, but let's trigger it properly, do it justice. / command is look ahead. I'm not even gonna specify. I'm just gonna tell it just look ahead. Just look ahead for me. And let's see if the work that we've spent the last hour doing has been fruitful. So while that's thinking about what look ahead can possibly mean, we're just kind of we're guiding this one home with regards to our sniffer dog that we've built, sniffer dog of a skill that we've built. Let's see how well this one performs. The bash tool mangled the /path. Okay, well, that's not good, is it? That's not a good start, is it? The bash tool mangled the /. Let me use PowerShell to target the Axo cockpit project directly. Yeah. So all we did was tell it to look ahead. We didn't say anything else. We didn't say look ahead at slice 6 or whatever. But we're still hoping that it knows what to do. We're still hoping that it's going to go through, look at what we've done in slice 5, look at all of the connectors within slice 5, trigger perplexity. That may flag this whole authentication issue, which we've seen over the last couple of days, but that's not a problem. It's not a big deal. We'll authenticate that, and that's going to be probably something I do in housekeeping tomorrow during the day, so I'm not having to waste time on the stream fixing that sort of bug. But yeah, so full context absorbed. 2 things stand out against the peer steering document. Working tree is no longer clean. Snapshot shows the slice branch py, and okay, because these are things that we're working on in the background, so I'm not stressed about that. Perplexity research on exactly A1 was refreshed today at 21:46. You can't be at 21:40. Okay, so nearly an hour ago. My bad, I thought it was 9 o'clock. So it's under 21. So I'll reuse those cited findings rather than burn duplicate calls and leave the research stump untouched. Let me confirm the engine and write. Okay, cool. So confirm the engine, supplies, meta, scope banner, both region headings. My 2 default files, my 2 body files contain only the content beneath the echoing headings. Yeah. Authoring them now and steering the document into the temp. So cool. Now the directions body, 4 name candidates, directions in the current format of the provenance tag, the move, how it would work with the cited research folded in, and then the honest trade-offs, and then closing with the fork pointers. So do I want this to proceed with shell? And this is just, again, just right into the temporary folder. So yeah, that's fine. Cool. So you can see it here. It writes all of these directives within my temp Claude folder for the look ahead cockpit, and then it gives it a tag, which is perfect. What's it called? Frameworking. It's perfect engineering. We're keeping our context window we're not clobbering and clouding and over congesting our project folder. Everything that's temporal, or anything that's kind of like heavily research based, or any documents that are not really adding anything to the grand scheme of things, we put them into the temporary folder. We do all of our like lift and shift stuff there, and we can call agents to those temporary folders with the tags to say, go and read this, get the context, and come back and feed it to me. And it keeps all of our context window very minimal, so that we can spend all of these tokens doing the harder stuff. So the look ahead summary is slice 5 is shipped. Slice 5 is shipped to the master, which is good, which is the render only hubs and the role clarity and the index and the no DB change, which was, we did all of that yesterday. That's fine. The gate last observed, not live, that's fine. So cool. And then this is what we're interested in. The next slice direction, we need it's suggesting to me a thin adapter, so minimal determinism, safe ingest, so defer the dedup and the cheapest, but ships in known cross source double count gap, and then the cross source dedup routing, so it closes a gap in the slice via the normalized hash pipeline. Correct it now. It's a larger slice plus a new routing contract. Project coherent ingest plus index regroup pairs the data with the slice 5 deferred project group index with visible payoff, but reopens the render surface, and then incremental freshness feeder, which is exploratory, by offset tail reading, the only option that breaks the standing persists nothing rule, flagged as the heaviest risk, when only if the full recompute is proven too slow. Research was used, research stale equals false, refreshed earlier today on this exact topic, and the folded citations banned, blah blah blah, research stamp left untouched, steering Claude look ahead temp only confirmed, nothing under tests, nothing under specs, blah blah blah. Okay, cool. So yeah, so these are the 4 ideas that is thinking, right, in terms of the next 4 things that I could potentially add, or kind of the directions that I could go in with regards to the next slice of work that I do. The last slice we did was kind of like fixing the navigation, improving the I guess the relationships between the various nodes, and I think at the time of doing that, my initial thought was, okay, how's this now going to handle my local and Claude, sorry, my local and my GPT notes and conversations and things of that nature. So I want to make sure that I'm actually also tracking that. I'm not always going to be using this computer. It is the one that I spend most of my time on. So it's not the end of the world if this is the one that we kind of use. It's the one that I use for most of my builds and things like that. So it's not the end of the world. We've got all of our cloud items in here. So yeah, let's see. We could go down that direction. But then it's also kind of, it would be cool to see what the incremental freshness feeder actually works like. These are all kind of cool ideas to go down. they're all kind of cool ideas to go down. I want to see what before 18. Yeah, they're all interesting in their own way. I'm indecisive. Can you tell? I'm very indecisive. I'm very undecided. Not indecisive. I'm quite decisive person, but I'm undecided in this current moment in time. Right. So I think what we're gonna do is, I like it, but can you give me a fresh set? Can you give me 4 more? Can you give me, and I want to put this in plan mode, can you give me 4 more ideas? And with fresh research. Let's see how it handles that one. I mean, those 4 are cool, but can it give me 4 more? Will it be able to give me 4 more? Right. So these are the things that you can only test when you're actually doing them. So yeah, cool. That's plan. That's fine. We can plan while this is building. I'm not really too inspired, or I'm left undecided after the first 4 that you've sent me. What happens? Does the system fall over if I ask for 4 more? Is that something that we need to then build into the skill itself to allow us to ask for more if we're not happy with what's presented? Cool. So got it. 4 new directions with genuinely fresh research, not reused findings. Cool. So perplexity doctor report. It's warning. What's it warning me of? That should connect, to be honest. Let's see. Enabled must be distinguishable. Complexity is available, but drifted to anonymous tier. Let me attempt the silent reauth MCB tool before researching. I really hate when Perplexity does this. The login tool only returns the one-time password. Claude session transcript or research. Right, let's see where that goes to. Yeah, so let me just bear with me. Perplexity search is redirecting, but wait, Claude session represents a session continuum. But is this actually pro? I don't like it when it does things like this, because why did it default to using one that I've not? Yeah, I didn't ask for that. Right, so sorry about that. I just got slightly sidetracked. So a redirector, but I need to just double check once this is done. I do need to double back, because I think I'm being silly. Let me not even wait and do a while this is doing X, Y, and Z. But got worried there. I've got a remote desktop session running and it just flagged and turned the whole screen black. And I thought for a second there that the whole stream had died on me, or something dramatic like that. But yeah, so I'm just going to quickly open a new session because I do want to clean up this this recurring bug that we're getting with Perplexity, which I don't want. You now have A1 directives. D1 to D1 for what next? Okay, so just keep it in chat. Stop generating options. No, keep it in chat only. Should I retry Perplexity back to Pro before anything? Yes, like I don't want to. I never want to use. So just pause. I'm fixing this in the background. I hate this anonymous thing because it's not pro. So, you know, I'd rather just fix a problem now that I've seen the problem a couple of times as well, and I did call it before it even happened. I'd rather let's just pause the tool. We've obviously got a couple of directions that we can go in, but again, this is a good opportunity for us to fix the error and fix the issue that we were having, or the issue that we were seeing, and then we can come back to it. So I'm just going to tell it now that actually pause what we're doing, and that I'm going to fix the issue. I am going to fix bug and return. Cool. So just told it to just give the planning session a halt. I'm gonna open up a new session, and yeah, so let's actually debug what's actually going on with this Perplexity problem that we keep seeing, because it's not the first time that it's happened. And while that's doing, we've still got 2 or 3 more rounds of things that are happening in the background that we still want to keep an eye on. But what I want to sort out is this issue of Perplexity defaulting to this anonymous tier. We want it to always default to the actual pro tier. So giving it context and telling it now that Perplexity keeps defaulting to this. So Perplexity is authenticated to Pro account via browser, but keeps failing or defaulting to anonymous when a new session, or call it from skills. I'll fix this. All right. So we just want to make sure that this is actually fixed, because we're relying quite a lot on this Perplexity Pro connection. And it's something that I want to just have it tightly squared off, because we're calling it from a couple of different skills as well. And the fact that it keeps failing means that we can't completely let go, because the skill that we're working on building here, where we're going to be able to invoke a concurrent agent that's doing its own thing and helping us in the background, and you know, allowing me to drive from the front with it doing all of the sweeping behind me, that still needs to be able to rely and call on Perplexity as well. So obviously if that authentication keeps failing, or we can't safely call or confidently call from the same authenticated session that we had less than an hour ago, that's going to be a big problem down the line. So I want to make sure that that's fixed. first at this stage. Then we can iterate slice 6, go through slice 6, and then yeah, we can plan forward. Because what did it even suggest? So branch side set, okay, so cool. So we asked for 4 different ideas, or 4 different iterations apart from these 4, and the feedback that it gave were these: so D5, D6, D7, D8. So D5 is I'm just reading these while I'm waiting for progress on these couple of things that are happening either side of my current session. So branch 5, branch sidechain topology. So the model the Claude Code session as a parent unique user ID tree, not inline, and handle retries and forks, sibling branches, sub agents, and trace explicitly. For correctness floor, this seems way off. Let me see what our context window is at, because that just sounds like a really stupid suggestion. Okay, cool. So it's 120. Message type taxonomy and noise filter. So a frozen keep and drop set. Keep the user and assistant text, the consume tool result, drop the system is meta, the command name, and then the local command series, the hook, and the system reminder noise. Session continuation and compactation station. Detect that this session is being continued. Detect this session is being continued. Compactation marker, and then stitch the resumed. And okay, so but these, okay, so the D7 would be good because you've got a context window. So you're basically reducing the number of, nodes, and I'll show you that in practice. So if we look at the actual node graph, what that means is, so let's say for example we've got all of these nodes that are appearing. Let's say I want this to freeze in a moment, but okay, cool. So I'll capture one of these. So let's say for example the node that I've got a hold of here is a conversation about, I don't know, booking me a trip to Uganda, yeah, for example's sake. And then all of these nodes that are attached to it on the right, so all of these guys here that are attached to it, to the one that I've got in my hand, the recent one, all of those are going to be the messages that we've kind of gone back and forth about, or whatever else. So so the messages that we've gone back and forth about. But let's say one of those messages then becomes too long, and there was a time where Claude was definitely doing it. ChatGPT again recently was doing it, but where you've been talking for a while and the context window is massive, you ended up kind of exceeding it, and then it says to continue this chat it's going to need to compact the window down and then start a new chat that continues from that. It's essentially now going to be matching up every conversation where that has happened and then grouping them and stitching them back together. But again, I don't want to do that because it's going to then it's going to throw off my weighting. So the size of these nodes is going to be off because it's just going to be, scrolling forever. It's going to be too much context, and I don't want it to be like that, because again, if the note is just too heavy and it's scrolling on forever, I'm never going to do anything with it. And then also it's going to throw off the weighting because it's going to make it look more important than it actually is if it's something I've kind of been going back and forward about. And then it's also going to introduce a layer of false positive weighting as well, because the reason some of these context windows used to be that massive before is because you used to spend hours going back and forth with AI or whatever else. Let's say, for example, you're working in code like I was, or kind of like going back and forth on it, debugging something. The more that context window got filled up, obviously the longer that context window is, and then there's more of a need for it to break off. So why are we then going to be loading that into a system where we're building a neural network for our thoughts? It's just going to muddy the water. So that's instantly rejected. I don't want to build that. So that idea is instantly rejected. I'm not going down the D7 route. Privacy scrub stream, deterministic, standard lib redirection between the pass and the vault, right? Home path normalization, secret pattern. Since Claude Code transcripts carry real paths and real environment and real CLI outputs, and the vault may sync safely motivated and non-feature motivated, must be conservative. These ideas are trash. Trash. Also, anyway, while it's doing that, I'm just going through. Let's see what this has found. So the fix to our perplexity issue is in. So the connected vault. Cool. So found the smoking gun. The Damien log shows the real root cause. It's not the cookies expiring. It's that the daemon process can't unseal the vault. So the vault gets saved. What? What's this got to do with? Stop annoying me, man. What's this got to do with the perplexity issue that we're actually facing? Is it even stored in the vault? Okay. Anyway, right. So let's see. I thought the reason why I said that is because the program or the software that I'm actually using at the moment and building these nodes out in, which is also referencing vaults. So I just thought that there's a weird overlap in terms of what I was talking about then, which is annoying. Cool. So the vault get saved cookies failed for profile default. Vault locked, no keychain and no environment var. So perplexity, no authenticated session, anonymous mode. And the second separate problem, the reinitiate refresh crashes Chrome, which is a process which it did because it was opening up about 10 different tabs. So your pro cookies are sitting safely in an encrypted vault, but the daemon that actually serves the searches can't decrypt it, and the OS keychain master key isn't reachable from the daemon's launch context, even though the interactive doctor can reach it. So what are we gonna do? So which durable fix do you want? Perplexity anonymous? Do you want for the perplexity? All three start with me clearing the zombie Chrome and wedge daemon session. So vault passphrase visible set a perplexity vault path. Why am I stumbling across my words, man? What the heck? So set the perplexity vault passphrase as a user environment var in the MCP environment. Then reseal the vault under it. Every daemon called bypass a broken button, no relogin. Add a perplexity no daemon 1 MCP environment so that Claude runs its own keychain capable of this doesn't sound very secure. Data connected to multiple session, multiple skills, core perplexity at the same time. Costs, possible slowdown and browser data contention with multiple skills. Just on widget. All right, let's try this and see. Let's try that and see, because then at least we've still got this thing that we needed to run past the big perplexity. Right, so yes, you can make an edit to that. Also locked. The vault passphrase is durable and now executing. Kill process only. Exit. That dollar got eaten by bash. So let me use PowerShell directly. Killed. Okay. Zombie tree is gone. Locks cleared in step 2. Generate the cryptographically strong passphrase. And persisted in the user environment bar chart. Okay. Need to scroll past that. I can't have that phrase on the internet. So I'm just hiding my screen at the moment just so that I can safely get this bit secured and fix the perplexity login long term. Yes, make the edit. Allow the bash. Yes, allow the Python test. MCV block updated now. Okay, cool. So the key's still on screen for what I'm doing, so I don't really want to show that online. So I just gonna have to just bear with me as I flip back to that screen. Okay, cool. So it's currently just testing the encryption and then decryption of that. Reusing a session to reseal the boundary so it can't hang. And then now, yeah, it's just importing in my authenticated session. And then it's bounded it by the timeout logic just so that it can't hang as well. So let's see. Hopefully once that's working, it's just going to fix all of these issues. It needs an emails. The command auto command needs an email and would still require the one-time password, and your profile is manual mode anyway. So before I send you to an interactive re-login, let me verify whether it's even necessary. I want to know if the existing vault can already be unsealed by the passphrase alone, or whether the tool, yeah, cool. So that's best practice. So before it asks me to re-log in, it's just checking whether this works without the login in place anyway. Rather than me logging in just for this to fail. So that's really good structure. And in the meantime, in the background of all of that, we're still whittering away at this orchestration layer that's being built behind me, as in like systematically behind me. So with any forward move I'm moving, I've got a tool I've got a skill or an agent that's running a slice also behind me, just kind of making sure that everything else behind is still running as it should, and that the code base is still safe, and launching all of these other bits and bobs to clean up the operation and kind of sweep away any mess, flag as soon as something's systematically wrong or insecure and stuff like that. So yeah, pretty robust. It's pretty robust. And the thing is, if you look at the actual code base itself, or the structure itself, it's so lightweight, because a lot of these things, as I said, I'm building them a lot outside of the actual project environment. So a lot of the decision making and the trial and error and the reference files and the context windows and the handoff files and all of these other things that are quite, I guess, file heavy or content heavy, a lot of that work is being done outside of the project directory, so that when it actually comes to things that are happening on the project surface itself, it's very lightweight, which is good. It just means that we can build a lot of all of these complexities and things like that outside of our working environment. It's kind of like how I like to cook, just cook while all the kitchen is clean, while you're not having to kind of like deal with a messy environment, all of these pots and pans everywhere. You just using what you need to use. You're washing it up and you're putting it away until you need to use it for something else. That's kind of the best way that I can explain this methodology and this way of working. Then a project folder always remains tidy of any noise, tidy of any kind of like redundant files that don't need to be there. This is the complete picture, and it changes the plan in an important way. The two decisive facts from a source. The right vault always prefers the keychain when sealing, and then returns the keychain first. So even a fresh relogin would reseal under the keychain again, and the passphrase still wouldn't decrypt it. So this was the good thing. They double checked that before we went forward and asked me to start logging in and stuff. So the coherent durable fix is passphrase only, and then disable the keychain everywhere else, and then convert the existing keychain seal to passphrase sealed with passphrase. So yeah, so we keep trucking along, we keep going forward. We're nearly there. Yeah, fix. Okay, cool. So that's doing its thing in the background and resealing. While all of that is happening, now wire the global settings and hooks and So yes, and allow. This has been building away for a while. And this is essentially my little helper, my sweeper. I wonder what I'm actually going to call that skill as well. Decided yet. Okay. We'll get to that one when we get to it. And for all of this to marry up, do what it's got to do. And I'm just removing you guys off the screen just in case I'm kind of like end up popping up sensitive information on screen I don't really want on the internet. So now the conversion, Damon has already stopped. Okay, the conversion report is successful in the keys, but the cookies 1 and 0 count looks alarming. Alright, so it's just fixing this perplexity file. So get environment variable environment. Okay, so I actually need to okay, cool. So what I want to actually be able to do in a second as well is to lock away the area or the environment that it's already done, but I want to just ring fence and make sure that it's locked somewhere that the Git can't read. So once I actually do commit this properly online, it's protected essentially. Yes. Cool, so I can see that that's tested the cookie's fully intact. It's got all of my login credentials, all the passphrases and things like that. And it's now good to go. So we're just about to test whether it can actually connect. And again, just because I've still got my email and other sensitive bits and bobs showing on screen, I'm not going to share it on screen just yet until I've actually just built and fixed that area, and then we can move on to the next work package. Strong signal, authenticated, pro user. Okay, so now it's now unsealing via the passphrase, not the keychain, and reloading the procession. And Damien status anonymous line is stale and status 0 broken initiation of. Okay, so that's good. So that looks a bit better, and I can now hopefully soon re-trigger this back up, and it should use the new logic and the new means of authenticating once this is actually up and running and live in terms of being able to be used in a skill. What I'm going to do is authenticate against the, sorry, not authenticate, to verify that it's working for multiple tools. So I'm hoping that it lines up well, just because I'm getting a bit not tired, but I'm getting a bit twitchy. That it's taken us a couple of hours of reiterating and kind of really delving into this to get to where we've gotten to with this way of working. it is what it is, man. It is what it is. Of course, I understood. So it's authenticated, and what I wanted to say there is I just wanted to make sure that this lines up so that once the auditor oversight is done, I can then go through and check it and check that this new authentication layer is actually working with all the various skills that depend on it. So if I'm calling the if I'm calling the handoff, sorry, not the handoff, the grill me skill, I want this to be able to actually now log in and show me that it can log in. If I'm calling my new cockpit skill, I want that to be able to do what it's doing as well. So cool. So this is actually now built. So done. Grill resolved. Done. Round 2 improved. So grill perplexity enabled. Pro was wedged in the exit. Blah blah blah. Cached and whatever else, which is fine. It's doing what it's doing. The TDD was read. And then round 2, so 2A memory model air, research perplexity first, status round 3, the audit, auditor.py, external so the access good question to pin down. So what we built is a superior auditor. It's not one thing. It's a small script plus the hooks that trigger it. Which is they just go, but here's a precise breakdown. The brain's a piece. So a plain Python CLI, standard lib, name auditor.py. What you have open is a Git hook. So a Git hook, it fires a script after commit, surface it in the Claude hook, user prompt submit, that shows digest, auditor order wired in, plan lock, detector, So this open file, this open file is a good hook. Specifically post commit shim. Okay. Whose only job is to launch the Git and then see if it detached from your commit returns instantly verification. Not an agent, it doesn't the auditors worker processes externally rather than one, and those are headless Claude. It's a stove. Oscar. The inverter name within users on a single query. So it is hard. A reminder, while it's in front of you, the false commit is up 10. It no ops right, it's non-operational, and enabled is 1. So it isn't doing anything yet. Also, context windows at 239k. Okay, because I need to just jump out this audit window ASAP probably. So, okay, so now it's crystal clear. The MCP doctor ran this session server. Now the clean isolate test stop. Kill all the perplexities down alone. Probe. This exercise real path. Oh, cookie search. Okay, cool. So that failed anyway. But all of these perplexity issues are being awful. Cool. So I want to just saying that this that my auditor is finished. But I want to see it in action. So hook initiate. Superior. Prevent. Version. But that's fine. That looks like it's also starting to work. Full page. Test of it. Cool. So now this is triggering just so that you can run through. Let's see how it actually performs. Let's see some of the output of this auditor. How do you want to initiate the auditor? It never fired live, flipping means scratch refold, verify first. Create a throwaway, get refold. No, enable live now. And that auditor enabled was 1. Yeah, but cool. So now this is gonna initiate the auditor. It'll be live within this, and it'll just be running as a headless Claude instance. I've not used anything, not that I've not used anything like this before, but invoking it in my code base is, yeah, I just want to really test this out, and I'm kind of diverging from what I wanted to get done today, but this could be quite useful in terms of critiquing what we've built so far. So yeah, so I just wanted to see how we get on with this now anyway. So the auditor is enabled and is now set persistently. So user scope, it's active and it's going to be active in this session. Let me do a no spend plumbing check to confirm the auditor is reachable, and the hook now passes in this surface. Make edits to the documentary light auditor oversight. Yeah, it's given access. Okay, cool. So my auditor is now live, and the summary of what has changed and the caveat matters. What's now active? The auditor obviously is set to 1. The auditor is initiated and live. To get the first real digest, restart the IDE, or refresh the terminal, or open a fresh terminal. So the new environment variable is inherited to start the A1 slice branch, and then commit the sweep fires and fired and forget in the background, and the digest service for your next prompt. So if you ever want to pause without unsetting, auditor disabled equals 1, and this will kill the switch. So let's see what it does. I'm just gonna have a look on. No, and it says slice. Cool. So this is a fresh terminal. And you sweep of slice 1, 2. To me. Oh. Let's see. Of course, I've committed this. Let's have a look. It's about locating the auditor and understanding the structure. Sweep, yeah. Or you want to see what format this is going to communicate to me in. It's going to be a nice tool to always have just running in the session, just to kind of bounce ideas off of, not bounce ideas off of, sorry, because it'll be running on autopilot. Once I've triggered it once, it's not going to have to, I'm not going to have to kind of go back and forth with it. It's not going to be a chat-based auditor. So let me check the Git state and the slice commit history before deciding how to drive the sweep. So the auditor's doing its thing. So the auditor's sweep enabled, auditor enabled equals auditor enabled, All right, that's fine. Let me check. This should all be enabled. If not, I'm gonna have to restart. I'm gonna have to restart Cursor. But I'm hoping I don't have to restart Cursor, but if we do, hey, so be it. Okay, Git confirms that the full slice and 1 through 0. Let me scope the actual source touch across there before running the sweep. Compose brilliant. So the one, oh nice, look at that, good. The actual slice 1 to 5 product surface is compact and reviewable. So the ingest by 827 lines, spans slices 1 to 3A, sorry, 1, 3A, 4, 5. Similarity, PY is 148 lines, and the governance hook. So the workflow, you want to proceed with workflow? Yes. Proceed, please. Script export the workflow. The auditor sweep is running in the background. 6 red reviews, each finding, and then adversely verified against yes, allow. Cool. So the auditor sweep is running. When it runs, here's the scope it's going to cover, the ingest, so it's going to test all of these things, because these are all of the modules that we've built, and you guys but yeah, so these are the bits that it's going to covering here. So this is going to be what it's working on, and then giving me an output each finding, so I can leave that essentially just running. I'll put that over there somewhere. So that can do its own thing, and we'll have that in the background, just doing its thing. Should actually just, yeah, I'm eventually just gonna, because it's the first time I'm running it, I'm gonna leave the guardrails on, but I am eventually just gonna switch all of these like accepts and things like that, so I'm not having to kind of babysit it, because again, that just leaves everything pointing to me in the center. Cool. So I do need to reboot Claude in a sec. But what I'm actually gonna do, yeah. So while this is doing, it's doing each finding gets confirmed. Obviously the okay, cool. So this is a lot of handholding, but to be fair, we did bake this in terms of checking in and whatever it's doing. And all of this is just reading. So again, I'm not just blindly letting AI just do things. All it's doing is just reading and viewing. It's not changing files. It's not doing whatever. It's just running scripts, just reading the context, measuring. Oh, press no on that one. Not good. Wasn't supposed to press no. All right, cool. And the thing is, it's useless me editing this, because this in the background is this not actually using the in window, even though it's outputting within the window. It's not actually using this logic. So whether I put this in low effort or high effort, it has no bearing, because it's all running from the what? The audit.py. This auditor.py. That's what's driving this in terms of the model, the effort levels, everything's baked in to that. And then it's just using this session as the output to me. So let it run its little audits. I love phrasing things that way. Just let it review its little friends. Little friends what? Don't need that. This is the one that I needed, that I ended up pausing on. Or questions that are right, cool. So let me just see what the context. Save to continue. Your bug is likely change the working tree and state and snapshot, rerunning the engine. Don't need do that. Nothing was committed and test run on the All right, so I'm just, instead of just boring you guys with clicking yes to all of these things and seeing what the responses are and all the sweeps and whatnot that it's doing, I'm gonna close off a session there, and just probably play with this for about 10 more minutes, and then yeah, the almost 3 hours that we've spent on this today, we'll be able to kind of put that in the bank, because tomorrow we've now got better searchability. We've got researching tools. We've got a much better look ahead feature and functionality. We've now got this auditor that would just help in terms of debugging, and again, depending on how helpful this is, yeah, I'll be able to kind of again give a bit slightly more insight into what this is doing in terms of the logic and whatever else, and then ship that. But it's not really anything lost, because now we've got better navigational skills between slices. We can now really hyper focus. I'll make sure that tomorrow during the day, I do the due diligence in terms of mapping and planning out all of the skills that we need now, so that we can really accelerate through tomorrow evening stream, and be able to what we'll be able to pick up the pace a lot more, and hopefully be able to sort out the ingestion of the various sources, and then also now what I'm probably going to end up plugging in tomorrow as well on tomorrow's session. Might do it in the day just so that, because we've already covered ingestion anyway, is the local sources, so that maybe on the evening stream we're looking at a bigger sample pool. In terms of the nodes, we want to be looking at a bigger sample pool than the 30 that we've got here. So what does it look like with 1,000 layers? How granular can we get? What are the relationships like? Does the data fall over? Then at least by Saturday, maybe Sunday, depending on how those 2 days are going, be in a position where I'm actually able to start building and showing you guys how I'm gonna approach building the what's it called, the data model on top of this, that will help me kind of organize my thoughts a bit better and do all the other like kind of cool stuff that we want this to be able to do in this project. But in the first instance, we need to obviously make sure that we're relaying everything down with the right groundworks, because again, this is the way that you've got to approach building with AI in order to make your code long lasting, repeatable, maintainable, scalable, and something that you can actually ship as a product at the end of it all, rather than a bunch of gobbledygook that you don't really understand how it works. And that's not what we're in the game for. So yeah, and on that note, we're at 2 hours and 46 minutes of streaming. It says 10 to midnight. I've had a couple of late nights this week, so I'm gonna try and get an early-ish night for me, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you.